Let's be real.
I know I'm not the only one saying this. The title was purely meant as a point of engagement to get you to click on the video, so welcome to the video. However, you and I not being the only ones to notice this doesn't seem to affect its happening. Do you see the same crops of fragrances discussed in videos across YouTube? Sure you do. Have you ever wondered why? As it turns out, most of the time, these fragrances that pop up a lot are newish releases or brand new mainstream designer fragrances. They're flashy, they're exciting, and relatively easy to get. Now, this could be a long tangent, so I'll keep it brief. From what I've seen, people rarely talk about fragrances they love. That might sound ridiculous, but hear me out. Most people talk about the shiny new thing that everyone else around them loves on them. Oftentimes, it's coming from a place of confirmation bias. That is, the opinions of others are strengthening or validating their own beliefs about themselves or enhancing those beliefs. Now, viewers like you, not saying you are one of them, but many people fall victim to this. Viewers see this on camera. They're presented with the outcome that a particular person had with a fragrance. So what's the next step? That viewer buys that fragrance in pursuit of that outcome. Now, perhaps they do actually have results comparable to the person who recommended the fragrance, and then they share their experience, rinse and repeat. That's how it spreads. Now you have a certain crop of fragrances circulating the online space that are promising particular external results rather than internal enjoyment as the top priority. Now, you may have noticed this, but on my channel, I don't talk about fragrances from the lens of what they could do for you. I rather talk about them from the lens of what you can do with them. But the first thing that needs to be in place before you do anything with a fragrance is that, you need to love it. Otherwise, what is the point of wearing it? In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 6 fragrances that I absolutely love that I don't really see other people talking about. Is that because I am one of the very few people that are able to love these fragrances? No, absolutely not. I'm no special person. I'm not that different from you. Many of these fragrances you almost never see in videos across YouTube, not because they're not good or worth trying, but because of what I would call the mass effect phenomenon, which has not affected them, at least not yet. This also applies to things like videos like this one here on YouTube. If a particular video is published by a creator, and let's say that video is actually quite profound and creative, innovative, insightful, helpful, even entertaining, if no one really clicks on it, then no one else is really going to click on it. Look at it this way. When a crowd is forming on the street and you're walking by, what is your first inclination? It's to go look and see what's happening. Where people congregate, curiosity grows. But if no one's congregating, it must not be worth watching. Fragrance is no different. In this community, if a fragrance is not presented by multiple people with the promise of enhancing a certain aspect of your life, like getting you more compliments, like having a fragrance that lasts all day, those seem to be the top 2 reasons why people buy, then that fragrance falls through the cracks. So let's jump into these 6. You see them on my channel from time to time. On one hand, it baffles me that they're not widely discussed because of how amazing they smell. But on the other hand, I know why, and I'll kind of talk about it along the way. Let's dive right into it. So, as I just mentioned, there are 2 main reasons why I think most people, not all, but most people will seek to buy a new fragrance, at least those who watch YouTube videos, and that is the promise of compliments or the promise of strong performance. All of these fragrances miss the mark on at least one of those points, I would say. If both of those points are intact, people are more likely to buy. If one is missing or both are missing, people pay no attention. First one up here is from Brioni. It's called Eau de Parfum Eclat. And this is a beautifully functional fragrance. This is kind of a fresh, smoky, woody musk. There's kind of a cooling, soft, fresh, musky feel to it. There is this kind of smoky, incensey feel. There is this soft but masculine woods. There's a little bit of a bright grapefruit in here, but more like the rind than the fruit itself. Altogether, it comes off as something quite different and unique, but super wearable, quite sophisticated, but light It doesn't really last a super long time. It doesn't project off the skin like crazy. It remains a more sophisticated style scent, closer to the skin. So people who pass you or come close to you will smell it, and you'll smell sophisticated. But the reason why this would easily get overlooked is because it's not a strong fragrance. And as I've talked about a lot, and actually Ross TLTG Reviews, we recently did a live stream you should check out discussing this issue in depth. It was a fantastic discussion. But because this isn't strong, it's overlooked. People are being conditioned to want strong fragrances. They want all of their fragrances to last. And that is just simply unrealistic. Every fragrance cannot be made to last, and even if it could in theory, oftentimes performance affects the scent. You can easily ruin a scent profile by making it too strong. For people who wish a certain fragrance like this would be super strong and long lasting, even if they could give that to us, it would not be the same fragrance. So you do make a sacrifice. You have to pick and choose sometimes. So anyway, this is a wonderful scent. I love to wear this in the summertime. When I'm just going out for maybe 5-6 hours, I'll come home, I'll shower, I'll put something else on. It's not a complete throwaway scent. It is a little bit more classy. That is Brioni Eau de Parfum Eclat. Next one up is a classier one as well, but has a little bit of a sexy edge. This is from Nishane. It's called Papilefiko. I think the reason why this is overlooked is because it is not a big name like some of the others from the house. Ironically enough, you can have some big fragrances from a house like Ani, like Hachivat, but people only still focus on those and they don't really look past them. You think that those phenomenon fragrances could be gateways, and they can be sometimes, but you're likely to try the others if they're in front of you. But if not, you're not even going to pay attention to it because no one's talking about it. So it's like, well, if no one's talking about it, it probably isn't good or not as good as the other ones. You know that's not true. The mass opinion of people does not dictate the value and validity of something. There's always going to be people that actually go out of their way to try it and realize, wow, this is amazing. Why is no one talking about this? This is one of those fragrances. It smells so classy, but again, so sexy. Has a fresh spicy cardamom, has this kind of sweet ambery resinous warmth from benzoin, has some oak moss in there that gives it this darker mossy woody touch, almost has a fougere like quality in the core of the scent, almost a barbershop feel with clean lavender. But overall, it's a sweet, spicy, fresh, resinous, mossy scent. Very addictive and actually very strong if you're looking for that, but I guess it's not really promised by other people to be a compliment getter, so therefore it's overlooked. Anyway, I highly recommend you get a sample of papilefiko. Another designer fragrance from Bottega Veneta, we have Pour Homme. This is the OG. Now, I think a lot of people would presume that because this scent is modeled to be a little bit more of a slightly vintage style profile, it does have this throwback feeling to it, almost like a 1980s fragrance, but trust me, it is perfectly contemporary. It just pays homage to that type of scent. It's green, it's woody, a little coniferous and leathery, but still kind of fresh and very supple, very elegant smelling and pretty high quality smelling. But it's not a sweet, spicy, strong panty dropper type of fragrance, and it doesn't really last a long time. So those two boxes are unchecked. It's overlooked. But if you're looking for something that's easy to wear but classy, this is one to check out. Again, you're not going to see this in other videos. It's not the hottest new thing. It's been around a while. Check it out. I'm going to have links down below. Bottega Veneta Pour Homme. This fragrance is overlooked because people have actually tried it over the years and have talked about it, but they've said
doesn't last.
Performance is no good. It's not worth it. And that is an argument that I will argue till the day that this channel ends, whenever that day is. We're talking about Frapin Luministe. The way I see it, every type of fragrance performance has a function. Perfumers are not making mistakes and accidents when they create fragrances. They are created the way they are for a reason, whether it is their own creative outlook or that in conjunction with what a brand is instructing them to create. If they want them to create something light and airy and not overwhelming, then that's what they have to do. This is one of those fragrances. It is meant to be bright, effervescent, very citrusy, cooling fresh with juniper berry and gin, kind of fruity and spicy and a little bit boozy, but then it dries down very quickly and it sits close to the skin for most of the life. But it's something you wear outside in the sun for a few hours, and then you come back home and you can wear something else. And that is perfect. That's a great function for it. If that's not good enough for you, that's okay, but that doesn't invalidate this fragrance. Skip it, go to the next one. Better yet, I do recommend you try it because these are amazing fragrances. We're talking about scent alone, but get a sample. And that way, there's nothing to complain about like you would complain if you blind bought the full bottle, which Come on, guys. If you're doing that, you can't complain because you took the plunge. So sample first, you'll never deal with this headache again, but this is perfectly functional and a beautiful scent. That's Luministe from Frapin. Now, sometimes you have fragrances that are easily overlooked, even though there are others within the house that are way more talked about. And then you have houses overall that are easily overlooked. And it's even stranger to see when designer houses are overlooked. Ones like Cartier. This is L'Envol. Now, I would say that Poche de Cartier Parfum kind of put Cartier back on the map here in the YouTube community, but that's about as far as it's gone. Most people are not really talking about all the others. And there's a lot of wonderful fragrances from Cartier in their Poche line, in their Declaration line. And we have L'Envol. This is the eau de parfum. This is a very unique scent. I understand why people may not take to it. When you first spray it, it does not come across as a crowd-pleasing scent, nor is one that's going to be super strong. Again, both boxes unchecked. People are going to overlook it. They're not going to talk about it. They may even say something bad about it and say, oh, it was weird. And then that word spreads and then no one's going to check it out. This whole video is about not just following the masses. Use your own brain. Follow what sounds interesting to you. Don't worry about the external. Don't worry about what people will think. Worry about what you will think. Get that sample and then make the choice for yourself no matter what you saw someone say on a video, myself included. This is fresh violet leaf. Violet leaf can be kind of a metallic, cucumbery type of freshness. It's very unique, and that is coupled with some slightly powdery iris, some beautiful sweet honey, kind of like this bottle, but it's pretty fresh, so it's not too sticky and rich, and there's some nice woods backing it up. Very classy, again, very different. I recommend you sample it first if you can. I'm gonna have a link to whatever I can find down below, but that's L'Envol from Cartier. And finally, I can't believe that this fragrance is not talked about more because in my opinion, it checks both boxes. This is a sexy fragrance. This is a very alluring fragrance. I have received compliments myself if you want a case study, and it is incredibly powerful. Those two things are not why I love it. I love it because I love the way it smells. When I wear it, I love the feeling I get when I wear it. It has an X factor to it that is undeniable. And this is from Alghabra Parfum. This is called Labyrinth of Spices.
Man.
If you like spicy fragrances, if you like coffee and tobacco, this is addictive. This is beautiful. It's basically like every spice you can think of, all thrown together in a way that is warm and cooling all at the same time, but very, very spicy, kind of rough around the edges. But there is this beautiful warm sweetness backing it up. It just comes across in the air as very, very attention grabbing, but different. It is quite different. Doesn't remind me of anything else in particular. Maybe in the vein of something like Intoxicated from Kilian, but way more personality here, honestly. Way more of a distinguished face with all the spices. It just has more presence as a result. Not to say it's better, but it's not exactly like Intoxicated. But what I can say is if you like Intoxicated, you might really like this, maybe even more. No promises though. Do check it out though. I'm gonna have a link down below to Alghabra Labyrinth of Spices. All right, well that's it. I wanna know what you think down in the comments of this idea of popular fragrances across YouTube. Do they often live up to what's promised for you? When you buy these fragrances you see and you wear them, are you generally satisfied most of the time? Let's hear about it. Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.